Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Police High Command saddened by death of cop killed in Portmore. The Police High Command, in expressing condolence to the family of Police Detective Sergeant, who was fatally stabbed while attempting to quell an altercation on Saturday, is urging the public to consider more peaceful ways to resolve conflicts. The policeman, who has been identified as 65-year-old Victor Francis, was assigned to the Center of Investigations of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse Sisoko headquarters. Reports from the Caymanas police are that about 6:35 p.m., Francis observed two men in a physical confrontation on Baptist Road, Caymanas, St. Catherine, and attempted to intervene when he was stabbed in the tussle. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. The two men who were fighting have been taken into custody. Too many persons are losing their lives or suffering grave injury due to mishandling feelings and the inability to resolve conflict, Police Commissioner Major General Anderson stated. Anderson is urging members of the public to make use of the Force's domestic violence intervention centers across the island, as well as other available programs such as mediation, dispute resolution, and restorative justice centers. The Force's Chaplaincy Branch and Welfare Department are providing support to the family members, friends, and colleagues of the Detective Sergeant Francis. 25-year-old man shot at bar in Westmoreland. The bloodletting continues in Westmoreland, with the latest victim being a man who was shot and killed in a bar in New Hope, Little London on Friday night. The deceased has been identified as 25-year-old Shamar Hamilton, otherwise called Sasso, from Gully Lane, Waterworks District in the parish. The Police Corporate Communications Unit confirmed the incident with reporters on Saturday morning. Police reports are that Hamilton was among a group of patrons at a Travelers Paradise bar when two men on motorcycles stopped at the bar. A tussle then ensued between Hamilton and the two men, during which patrons were seen running out of the bar. Several loud explosions were then heard, and Hamilton was found in the front of the bar lying on his back in a pool of blood. He appeared to be suffering from gunshot wounds and lacerations to his head and upper body. Hamilton was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Gunman fires shots, walk away after robbery. Police have launched a manhunt for a gunman who robbed a householder and her guests before firing several shots and casually walking away. The dramatic scene happened in Glenmore Haven in Maypen, Clarendon on Wednesday morning. It is reported that about 12:30 a.m., the woman and her guests were at the front of the house when the gunman pounced upon them. He reportedly held them at gunpoint and robbed the householder of one black iPhone 11 valued at 100,000 Jamaican dollars and a black Samsung Galaxy A20 valued at $25,000. The guest was also robbed of his LG cell phone. Police said the robber fired 3 rounds from his firearm in the air and then walked from the yard. The householder immediately reported the incident. Police later arrived and, while processing the crime scene, found 2 spent shells. Pain, anger after 6-year-old boy dies on way home from school. Grief hung heavily in the air at George's Adams house in Catadupa, St. James on Friday, one day after a 6-year-old son, Giovanninis, was found dead after being washed away by floodwaters on his 4th day of school. Giovanni, a grade 1 student at Catadupa Primary School, is believed to have experienced difficulties during heavy rainfall in his community as he walked home from school on Thursday afternoon. From all accounts, the water pulled him into a stream. His body, school bag, and books were found hours later. Adams, though, is not pleased with the school, claiming that a change in dismissal time was the reason Giovanni walked home that afternoon. "I want to know why they allow him to come through the gate at that time. I really would like to know why the school let out the students, especially the grade 1 students, because I heard that it was raining. But when I went to the school, they told me that the rain started around 10 minutes after school ended," Adams told reporters. "We didn't know that school was ending at 2 p.m. When I asked them, they said they sent out a message to our WhatsApp group, but I was at work and unable to use my phone, so I didn't get that information. If I had gotten the information, I could have called up there and have Giovanni picked up from school by 2 p.m., the mother said. When reporters contacted Catadupa Primary School on Friday afternoon, the principal, Marcia Garden, stated that she is unauthorized to speak to the media. Adams told reporters that one of Giovanni's aunts would always ensure that he got to and from school safely. In the evening, when his auntie was ready to go back to school for him, she couldn't find him. We heard that Giovanni was at a shop buying sweetie, and the shopkeeper told him not to go in the rain. However, he said that he is going home, so he took up his bag and left, Adams said. As Adams recounted the phone call that changed her life, sniffles came from a nearby room occupied by one of Giovanni's sisters. She was the one who had prepared him for school on Thursday morning. The sister, who told reporters that she was too shaken to speak, said Giovanni cried not to attend school that morning. Adams went on to relate how she had received the news of her son's death. I was coming from work when I got a call from my daughter to say that they cannot find Giovanni, and I started to get upset. I asked her if the river came over on the road, and from I heard that the river came over, I just said that maybe he tried to cross the river, she said. When I was on my way, a number of people were searching for him at the river. They found his bag first, and while continuing their search, they found Giovanni lying down beside a tree trunk, with his head tilting, as if his neck was broken, Adams added. Jelani Gardner, another of the brother's sister, will have a hard time recovering from the pain of losing her brother. We had a great relationship, and I was always take things for him when I am coming home from work because he was very helpful. He would always help me with my baby, Garden stated. Catadupa resident Daniel Harden said he was in the search team who located Giovanni on Thursday evening. The man is calling for the government's intervention as he fears for the lives of young children walking in the flood-prone community. We need a bridge out there because the water coming from the Lapland side is not any normal water. I am literally begging the government because we cannot lose another child like this, he stated. Farm work rescue. Jamaican farm workers in Canada have been pulled from 4 farms since the start of this year because what have been deemed unacceptable conditions. According to Chief Liaison Officer at the Jamaica Liaison Service JLS in Canada, Kenneth Phillips, it was decided to cut ties with the 4 farms because of poor living conditions, verbal abuse, inadequate working hours, and overall poor treatment of the workers. He said that all the workers were moved and placed on new farms within days, following visits by liaison officers and discussion by his team. Phillips said that pre-COVID the JLS approved living arrangements for the workers, but due to the pandemic, liaison officers were unable to visit the farms as visits were prohibited because of the virus. According to Phillips, once the liaison officers resumed visits to the farms, they realized that all was not as it should be. This year, when we resumed visitation, the officer went and found that the workers were not in the approved accommodations and the new bunk houses did not meet our standard. Within 3 days, we removed the workers and found them new employment, Phillips told reporters on Friday. He said there have been cases where the JSL has pointed out poor conditions to the operators of some farms and the problems were corrected in short order. In the instances where these are not corrected, then we have to act to protect the Jamaican workers because that is our mandate, added Phillips. Andrew Taylor was among the farm workers relocated, and he had high praises for his liaison officer, Altia Riley. The facility was great last year, but this year they moved us from our house on May 28 and put us in 2 containers. It was okay to us as we were working and didn't know it would be an issue, added Taylor. He added that only Riley visited the farm, she found their living facility unacceptable as they had to use outhouses and the containers had no ventilation system. She called the boss and told her our living conditions were unacceptable and told them that she was going to move us, and she did. Mrs. Riley moved us to Underhill Brothers and we are much more comfortable. We have inside bathrooms, washing machine and our space, but it is much better than before. I can tell you that Mrs. Riley is a wonderful lady. She stood up for us to the boss. We didn't see the problem, but she did. We didn't ask her to come, but she came to give us our tax return and check, saw the situation and told the boss that she refuses to have us living in these conditions, said Taylor. The farm work program in Canada has been in the forefront of the national debate in recent weeks, with allegations from some Jamaican farm workers that they are placed in deplorable and inhumane conditions on farms without an avenue to the air, their grosses and receive help. According to a Al Jazeera report on August 22nd, the farm workers who are affiliated with the human rights group Migrant Workers Alliance for Change described their experience as systematic slavery and being treated like mules. Minister of Labour and Social Security Karl Somoda initially claimed that during a recent visit to Canada, he saw nothing to support the claims of the disgruntled farm workers. After coming under fire, Somoda appointed a special fact-finding team to investigate the working conditions of Jamaican workers. The members of the team have not yet been announced and no details released as to when the team will travel to Canada. But Phillips is adamant that the liaison service based in Toronto oversees the welfare of all workers under the program. Phillips said the JLS, which was established in 1966 under an agreement with the federal government of Canada and Jamaica, is responsible for administering the seasonal agricultural program on behalf of the Jamaican government. The Jamaican Liaison Service works to ensure that all their documents are in order in Jamaica, meet them at the airports in Canada, and help them with immigration, and take them to their places of employment. The JLS, through its 3 field offices, conduct random spot check on the forms and investigate any reports they may receive, said Phillips. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell